Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. Before we get into this video, as you can tell by the title, right, we'll be talking about the upcoming winter. Now, some of you may be wondering, what on earth are we doing in June talking about winter? And again, this is just, I've been doing this in the years past, and I'll continue doing it this year. It's just a speculation, it's for the fun of it. And really, will this be accurate? Probably not. Should you make any plans off this video? Definitely not. This is definitely just for the fun of it, and it's just for entertainment. This is originally what I started this YouTube channel for, right? And I made these videos of my kind of predictions, and sometimes they come true, sometimes they don't. But they're fun to do, right? So people being like, this is way too early. Yeah, it is. All right. Nevertheless, if you guys enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing. Obviously, if you're new, check out the channel first. If you're not, and you've been already watching many and you like it, consider subscribing, consider liking. Otherwise, let's get into this. So, as you can tell by the title, I think I'll title it something like, why this winter could be crazy, or, why this upcoming winter could be like last winter. It's solely based off, right now I'm going off the Enzo, right? So this isn't really anything that's super based in evidence or data, but it is something that has potential to be right for sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making a video. I'll just show you the evidence, and I just want, let you make your own decisions. Right now, we are in a neutral, right? So we are not in a La Nina anymore. You could see the final La Nina advisory was issued already, but right now, Enzo neutral conditions are present. And look at this, they're likely to continue through the northern hemisphere summer, right? So that will obviously have a big impact on hurricane season, whether or not it will be more or less active. That's hard to tell. Obviously, they're not predicting it will be as active as last year's, because last year's was a record by pretty much all measures. But they're still predicting it to be above average in terms of activity. Notice as we push this forward, though, these slides, they talk a lot about, what could come, positive, just a lot of information that is worthy to read over. However, in today's video, I just want to focus on something else. So notice, if you don't know what an El Nino is, it's basically the region of water that's centered off South America, right? That's called the Enzo. It's where just off of Peru, Ecuador, Chile, and whether or not those waters are 0.5 above, which is an El Nino, or 0.5 and below, which is a La Nina. And anywhere in between those, right, including those numbers, it's a neutral. Notice that, actually, sorry, greater than or equal to, so the neutral has to be less than these values. But anywhere in between, it's a neutral, and this is what we are in right now. And if you're to take a look at what they think will come in the predictions, notice that this is what we just came out of, a relatively moderate to strong La Nina, but it was a interesting year. If you were to search up this past winter, right, the National Weather Service and NOAA were talking about how this past winter was definitely a winter that didn't behave as a typical La Nina. But what it did bring were some extremes, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Most of the past La Nina winters had some sort of an extreme. I remember telling my mom after, I think it was October of last year, 2020, and she was asking, "Oh, what am I seeing for this upcoming winter?" And I told her that it's obviously very hard to see, but I was watching the National Weather Service talk about their forecast for my local area, and generally speaking, in a La Nina pattern, there is some sort of a extreme. However, right? There's a big catch here. This extreme doesn't necessarily mean a cold or snowy extreme. There have been years, for example, in my area and really across the Midwest, for example, 2011, 2012, where there were super warm temperatures. That just the spring was very warm, the winter was warm. It was an extreme nonetheless, and it was a La Nina. But even the year prior, 2010, 2011, it was super cold. Texas had a massive winter outbreak similar to what they had this year, again, which was also La Nina. There was a massive blizzard, the Groundhog Day blizzard, and, huge Arctic spells, and definitely an anomaly of a winter, right? And every year you'll find something. 2017 to 2018, there was also, tornado outbreaks going on in the Illinois area super early, right? It was definitely warm, super warm, so more of the extreme compared to 2012. And again, this year, what was it? Well, similar to 2010-11, right? There was cold in February. Texas got slammed. The deep south. For example, my area got 36 inches in less than 3 weeks. So it was a huge, definitely a tough winter. One of the toughest ones in a while in terms of cost, at least. And if you're to look even further back, 2007, 2008, there were just rain events, snow events, just massive amounts of precip occurring across the United States, and that was also La Nina. So really, just almost every single one has something distinct about it. Not necessarily though it's snowy. So I think the title, what I have to say right now, crazy, describes it pretty well. Now this isn't supposed to instigate fear or instigate any sort of action. Again, these are just my thoughts, and a lot of people like this. There's a lot of people like me on this on YouTube that I found through the years that enjoy these type of videos that just like speculating, right? So again, this isn't something to be taken too seriously, but notice, why am I talking so much about this La Nina and their extremes if right now we are in a neutral? Well, take a look at this. Enzo neutral is favored through the northern hemisphere summer, right? But look what happens there, with chances of La Nina increasing into the fall and winter. Now, obviously, we are still rather far away. It's June, and these predictions are sometimes, a bit iffy. However, they usually don't change it by a huge margin. For example, I could tell you right off the bat, it most likely won't be an El Nino, right? It's not that unpredictable. However, whether or not it will be neutral, might straddle the line, or it may, just in fact actually go well below into a La Nina. But you can see that the trends are favoring a La Nina. These are the individual models that kind of predict what this will be. And notice, obviously, the higher this goes, it's an El Nino. You can see there's that 0.5 positive. Here's that 0.5 negative. Here, if that dips, this is the CPC console, Climate Prediction Center, look, it dips into La Nina. The rest of the models, according to this model group, right, they're straddling. They're favoring a neutral, but there are quite a few that do show a La Nina, and there's only 2 that show an El Nino. So again, favoring towards a La Nina. And look at this model group. This model group tends to be a bit more accurate. This is the CFS version 2 ensemble mean, the black dashed line. Notice it takes us almost into a La Nina with quite a good amount of the models into the La Nina, quite a few into the neutral, and then 1 into the El Nino. So again, favoring those 2 most likely. Scenarios. So what if a La Nina does occur? Well, again, a typical La Nina pattern. This is an El Nino, by the way, which most likely won't occur, but you could see it's almost the opposite of what a La Nina does. And this is a La Nina. You could see it right here. Cooler across the north and west, wetter here across the northwest, wetter and warmer across the south. I should say drier across the south, but wetter as you get toward the northeast. Again, compared to this year, it wasn't a typical La Nina, but it did bring the extremes a typical La Nina does. So that's why if a La Nina does occur, I think that is strong. There's a strong possibility for some crazy weather, right? And sometimes it's either severe weather that's very early, or heat waves, or giant cold outbreaks. I'm not saying that a repeat of Texas will happen again. That would be very, very unlikely. It's possible, but anything's possible, right? There could be you could say anything's possible, and you could just go off of that, which again isn't really necessarily going to be accurate. But I do think that there's going to be a crazy winter potentially, or that's what it's looking like from now. And this is June, so I may not be tweeting the same tune once it comes, into July and August, once the details start coming through. But I just wanted to inform you guys, a lot of people like this. You can see this kind of a different graph of a typical La Nina pattern. And if you were to take a look at what happened this year, it was drier across the north, a bit wetter towards the south, and it was a bit cooler towards the south and a bit warmer towards the north, so almost like a flip-flop. But nonetheless, still a lot of snowfall across much of the United States, especially the south, which was unusual. And if you look at NOAA and what the National Weather Service have to say, they always mention that with La Nina, there's the least confidence in the pattern. El Nino is usually a bit more predictable in how it acts, but the La Nina sometimes could be a year similar to an El Nino, or sometimes it could just be a blockbuster winter with tons of costly events, not necessarily just snow, or sometimes it can be just a giant snowy, ice cap across the United States. And that's more of what happened in Europe this year. If you recall, there was record snow in Madrid, or for the first time, I think, in like 40 years, England had a very, very chilly winter, and wet across northern Germany into Poland. There was just tons of cold. So yeah, it was across both both continents. It was definitely a crazy year. It can be again this upcoming winter. That's what it looks like for now. That it's trending towards a La Nina, but again, a La Nina brings uncertainty, and usually that uncertainty isn't just calm or serene. It's usually violent, right? That uncertainty, and it's usually unpredictable. Sometimes it could be heat waves. Sometimes it could be cold outbreaks. Again, something just to keep in the back of your mind for. So yeah, that's basically it for today's video, guys. I just want to show you these past events. Notice what we have here. 2007, 2008 was the year what I was talking about. Here in my city, we logged in, I think, almost a record amount of precipitation, a record amount of snow. It was really a snowy and wet year instead of the temperatures being more of an anomaly. I know that 95 into 96 was one of those La Ninas, which was just an absolute nightmare in terms of cold. It was almost every single month. It looked like February of this last year, which, if you recall, February was when all the weather conditions broke out across Texas and whatnot. So yeah, that again, that's another different year. Notice that a lot of years are more neutral. El Nino, there aren't as many La Ninas, but again, sometimes there could be 3 or 4 years in a row with La Ninas, and if you go this far back, I'm sure there was something special about these years. I just don't really recall it in particular, as obviously I wasn't alive here. And notice 84, 85 was another year. Maybe you folks can remember some of these dates. I do apologize if you heard that. That was my cat stretching on the floor right now. So yeah, that's what I have for you today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new, I guess, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.